Imagine a Nigeria where distance no longer defines opportunity. A Nigeria where Lagos and Abuja are not separated by endless hours on congested highways, but by a mere 3 hours aboard a sleek, modern, high-speed train. Can you picture it? A nation where commerce flows unhindered, where ideas move as quickly as people, and where citizens feel the pulse of progress in every journey they take. This is not a far-off fantasy. It is the audacious vision behind Nigeria's $60 billion high-speed rail project. For decades, Nigeria has been a country of bold promises and unfulfilled infrastructure dreams. Roads clogged with traffic, cities suffocating under population pressure, and goods delayed for days before reaching markets. Every missed connection, every late delivery, every long commute has a cost, an economic, social, and human cost, and yet Nigeria dares to dream bigger. The government, backed by international partners like China Liansai Petroleum Investment Holdings and financial institutions such as the Asian Development Investment Bank, is attempting something that could redefine the nation's future. But will this dream become a reality, or will it crumble under the weight of corruption, mismanagement, and political hesitation? The stakes could not be higher. Nigeria is Africa's most populous country, home to over 200 million people. Yet its infrastructure lags dangerously behind its ambitions. Roads are congested, flights are expensive and unreliable, and trade corridors struggle under inefficiency. How can a nation with so much potential expect to compete globally if the movement of people and goods remains slow and costly? The high-speed rail is not just a project. It is a political statement, a declaration that Nigeria intends to lead rather than lag. But the question looms. Can the leadership navigate the treacherous waters of politics, bureaucracy, and vested interest to deliver on this bold promise? Let us consider the transformative potential. The proposed rail network stretches an astonishing 4,000 kilometers, connecting Lagos, Abuja, Kano, and Port Harcourt. These are not merely cities, they are the arteries of Nigeria's economy. Lagos, the commercial heartbeat; Abuja, the political nerve center; Kano, a hub of industry and trade; Port Harcourt, the gateway to global markets. By linking them, Nigeria does more than cut travel time. It stitches the country together, creating a sense of unity and shared destiny. One cannot overstate the significance. A 12-hour, grueling road journey transformed into a 3-hour train ride is a profound shift in daily life. It is not just speed, it is power, opportunity, and national pride condensed into motion. And yet, the project is controversial. Skeptics ask, how will Nigeria secure $60 billion? Can government institutions manage such a colossal enterprise without succumbing to corruption? Will communities along the route be forced to give up land they have held for generations? Who truly benefits? The elite in Abuja and Lagos, or the ordinary citizens struggling to make ends meet? These are not idle questions. They are the very questions that define the political reality of this nation. Every announcement, every groundbreaking ceremony, every press release is met with scrutiny, because history has shown that grand plans can fail spectacularly. But there is reason for cautious optimism. About 90% of government approvals are reportedly in place, and the first phase of funding has been secured. Diesel Nigeria Limited, leading the project, has demonstrated the political will to push forward. Yet, political will is only part of the equation. Implementation requires unwavering vigilance, transparency, and public accountability. Otherwise, a project of this magnitude risks becoming yet another symbol of ambition unrealized. The high-speed rail is more than a transportation project. It is a mirror of Nigeria itself. It reflects the nation's contradictions: immense potential and structural inefficiency, visionary leadership and bureaucratic inertia, natural wealth and social inequality. Every decision on this rail, from routing to financing to energy sources, carries political weight. For instance, the choice to power the trains with Nigeria's abundant natural gas is not merely technical, it is a political declaration of energy independence, a statement that Nigeria can leverage its resources to fuel its own future rather than remain dependent on unstable grids or imported energy. The emotional stakes are just as high. Imagine families traveling safely and quickly to see loved ones, entrepreneurs moving goods across the country in record time, and students accessing educational opportunities that were once out of reach due to distance. This project, if executed correctly, will reshape the social fabric of the nation. But it could also inflame resentment if mismanaged, if promises are broken, or if benefits appear skewed toward certain regions or social classes. Here lies the political tightrope. Success must be national and visible. Failure could ignite anger, distrust, and cynicism. And then there is the question of leadership. Can President Bolola Tinubu's administration navigate not only the technical and financial challenges, but also the minefield of public expectation and political rivalry? Every minister, every senator, every agency involved is under scrutiny. Senator George Akum, secretary to the government, has promised rigorous checks on funding. But will these measures be enough to prevent mismanagement in a project where billions of dollars are at stake? In a country where public skepticism runs deep, leadership is not only tested by vision, but also by trust. Let us not forget the continental stakes. Nigeria is positioning itself against Morocco, which successfully launched Africa's first high-speed rail, and Egypt, which is building its own modern network. Can Nigeria rise to the challenge and claim the mantle of African infrastructure leader? Or will it fall behind, once again, a nation of promises and partial achievements? Every decision, every delay, every milestone in this project will be scrutinized by citizens and by the international community alike. The eyes of Africa are watching, and history will judge. In short, the $60 billion bullet train is not simply a piece of infrastructure. It is a political, economic, and social experiment rolled into steel and speed. It asks hard questions. Can Nigeria overcome entrenched inefficiency? Can it harness its resources responsibly? Can leadership rise above political expediency to deliver tangible nationwide benefits? And perhaps most importantly, will Nigerians, after decades of promises, finally experience the kind of transformative progress that many other nations take for granted? This is where ambition meets reality, where hope meets scrutiny, and where the future of a continent's largest nation hangs in the balance. The dream is audacious, the stakes monumental, and the outcome uncertain. But one thing is clear. The story of Nigeria's high-speed rail is no longer a distant vision. It is a political battlefield, a test of governance, and an emotional journey for millions who long to see their country succeed. Nigeria is not simply building a railway, it is redefining the very arteries of its nationhood. The high-speed rail project spans an extraordinary 4,000 kilometers, linking Lagos, Abuja, Kano, and Port Harcourt. Each city tells a story of Nigeria's ambition and its potential. Lagos, a pulsating commercial capital often overwhelmed by traffic and congestion, will finally experience connectivity that matches its economic power. Abuja, the political heart, will become accessible in a fraction of the time it once took to traverse by road. Kano, a center of trade and industry, will be plugged directly into the national economy. And Port Harcourt, with its vital access to international markets, will serve as a conduit for goods to flow swiftly and efficiently. Ask yourself, what does it mean for a nation when the regions that once felt distant and disconnected suddenly feel within reach? It is not merely convenience, it is power, opportunity, and national unity manifest in motion. It signals that Nigeria is ready to move beyond fragmentation and inefficiency toward a future where progress is tangible, visible, and measured not in promises, but in hours saved and opportunities gained. The scale of this project is staggering, and so is its ambition. Led by Desato Nigeria Limited, with backing from China Liansai Petroleum Investment Holdings Limited, this is not a local experiment. It is a statement to the world. Nigeria intends to compete, to lead, to set a standard for Africa's future. Yet such ambition invites scrutiny. How will governance structures cope with this magnitude? Can Nigeria safeguard billions in public and private funds against corruption, delays, or mismanagement? The answers are not yet clear, but the stakes are too high to ignore. At the core of this audacious vision lies a bold technical choice: powering the trains with Nigeria's abundant natural gas. This is more than a technical decision, it is a political declaration. In a country where the electricity grid is notoriously unreliable, relying on gas is a statement of energy independence and foresight. The trains will not be hostage to blackouts or bureaucratic inefficiency. They will harness a national resource, transforming it into speed, connectivity, and economic leverage. Consider the symbolism: the raw material of energy, the lifeblood of modern infrastructure, drawn from Nigeria's own soil, fueling the engines of progress. Over 210 trillion cubic feet of natural gas lie beneath the country, and this project taps directly into that wealth. It is an audacious move, not without risks. Yet for a nation that has long waited for transformative infrastructure, the promise outweighs the danger. The gas-powered solution is both pragmatic and politically charged. It says that Nigeria can rely on itself, that solutions will not be imported from afar but engineered at home. The construction strategy is equally deliberate, embracing a phased rollout that balances ambition with practicality. The first phase, valued at $55 billion, will cover 1,600 kilometers, linking Lagos to Abuja, Abuja to Kano, and Abuja to Port Harcourt. Phase 1 is expected to conclude in 36 months, targeting operational segments by 2028. This is not simply about efficiency, it is a political statement of accountability. Citizens will not have to wait decades to experience the benefits. Tangible results will appear early, proving that leadership can deliver. Phasing the project also addresses the complex political realities of land acquisition and local resistance. Nigeria's history is riddled with projects stalled due to disputes over property rights or mismanagement of negotiations with communities. By focusing first on the most critical corridors, the project team demonstrates pragmatism, ensuring that successes can be showcased, lessons can be learned, and momentum maintained. Every kilometer completed will carry political weight, proving that large-scale national projects are not impossible. Imagine stepping onto a gleaming train in Lagos, watching the cityscape blur into countryside, and arriving in Abuja in a fraction of the time it once took. The journey is fast, yes, but it is also symbolic, an emotional experience reflecting the country's potential. For many Nigerians, it is proof that their nation can transcend its historical limitations, that leadership can act decisively, and that investment in infrastructure is not a distant dream, but a reality that will touch daily lives. Yet, even as progress begins, the project is rife with questions that stir debate across the political spectrum. Who truly benefits from this massive investment? Will rural communities along the route see any improvement in quality of life, or will gains be concentrated in major urban hubs? How will government oversight ensure that funds are used responsibly, particularly in a nation where infrastructure projects have historically been plagued by inefficiency and corruption? These questions are not mere academic exercises. They will define the political legitimacy of this venture. The high-speed rail is also an instrument of economic strategy. Faster passenger travel reduces delays, increases productivity, and expands markets. Freight integration will lower costs, making Nigerian products more competitive internationally. These economic impacts are political as much as they are financial. By streamlining trade and enhancing mobility, Nigeria strengthens its position as Africa's largest economy, signaling to investors, partners, and neighboring nations that it is serious about leadership and modernization. Moreover, the project's phased design ensures that risks are managed, not ignored. Construction, logistics, and energy supply will be tested on manageable segments before scaling nationwide. This phased approach is a lesson in disciplined governance, a safeguard against political overreach, and the potential pitfalls of mismanaged ambition. If Phase 1 succeeds, it will not only deliver practical benefits, but will serve as proof that Nigeria can execute large-scale national projects, building confidence both domestically and internationally. In short, the grand plan, its technical brilliance, and the phased construction strategy together form a political narrative of transformation. This is Nigeria declaring that it will no longer accept inefficiency as destiny, that the dreams of billions are valid, and that strategic, audacious investments can reshape society. It is a story of courage and risk, of politics and progress intertwined, and of a nation daring to reach for greatness in a world that often doubts its capacity. The question of money, $60 billion, cannot be ignored. For a nation long plagued by mismanaged projects and empty promises, securing the funds for a high-speed rail is both a triumph and a test of political will. Phase 1, costing $55 billion, has reportedly been guaranteed through the Asian Development Investment Bank, a major international institution with ties to China. But let us ask, will these funds truly be used to build a future for all Nigerians, or will they become another statistic of squandered opportunity? Politics and finance are inseparable in a project of this scale. The Nigerian government insists on rigorous oversight. Senator George Akam, Secretary to the government, has declared that every dollar will be scrutinized. But history raises hard questions. Can a nation with a long track record of corruption and bureaucratic inertia ensure that billions of dollars do not slip into the shadows? Can leadership resist the pressures of vested interests, regional favoritism, and political expediency long enough to see this vision through? The stakes are immense. This is not just a financial undertaking. It is a statement about Nigeria's credibility on the global stage. By securing international funding and partnerships, the country signals to investors and allies that it is capable, decisive, and ambitious. Yet, ambition alone cannot guarantee results. Will political rivalries, internal conflicts, or mismanagement undermine the project before the first train ever leaves the station? Citizens are watching, and every decision, delay, or scandal will carry weight not only economically but emotionally and politically. The partnership with China Liansai Petroleum Investment Holdings Limited further amplifies the stakes. Some critics argue that foreign involvement risks compromising national interests. Will Nigeria retain control over this strategic infrastructure, or will external powers wield disproportionate influence over its economic lifelines? These are not hypothetical questions. They strike at the heart of sovereignty and trust, raising debates about the balance between collaboration and independence. Meanwhile, on the African stage, Nigeria is asserting itself with audacious intent. Morocco built the continent's first bullet train, linking Casablanca and Tangier. Egypt is constructing a modern high-speed network. Can Nigeria rise above the achievements of its peers to become the continent's infrastructure leader? Or will it stumble, its colossal vision reduced to a cautionary tale of ambition without execution? The question is both political and symbolic. Africa is watching, and so too is the world. The emotional resonance of this project cannot be overstated. Nigerians yearn for progress, tangible, visible, life-changing progress. Every hour saved on a train journey is more than convenience. It is time for families, education, and work. Every shipment delivered efficiently from Port Harcourt to Kano or Lagos is more than logistics. It is a statement that Nigeria can compete globally. But if mismanagement or corruption taints the project, will citizens feel betrayed once again? Will decades of frustration and mistrust resurface, undermining not only the rail, but the credibility of governance itself? The high-speed rail is therefore not merely infrastructure. It is a political and emotional battleground. Success signals competence, vision, and leadership. Failure risks cynicism, political backlash, and the loss of public trust. This duality heightens the stakes. Every minister, every contractor, every bureaucrat involved is under scrutiny. Citizens are asking, Can leadership deliver what has been promised for generations? Or will this dream join the long list of Nigeria's unfinished projects? Moreover, the rail's significance extends beyond national borders. It is a statement to Africa and the world. Nigeria is ready to lead in connectivity, trade, and modern infrastructure. Faster, reliable travel and efficient freight corridors will reshape commerce, foster regional integration, and attract foreign investment. But this global ambition provokes political questions. Can a nation simultaneously manage domestic expectations and assert continental leadership? Will regional disparities, political rivalries, or governance challenges dilute Nigeria's potential to set an African standard? In short, the stakes of funding, international partnerships, and Africa-wide ambitions are enormous. The high-speed rail project is a crucible for Nigeria's leadership, governance, and national identity. Every decision is scrutinized, every misstep magnified, and every success celebrated as proof that the nation can transform. It is a story of audacity, risk, and opportunity, a project that asks difficult questions. Can Nigeria manage billions responsibly? Can it balance domestic accountability with international collaboration? Can it claim leadership in Africa without compromising its sovereignty or betraying its citizens? The answers to these questions will define not only the success of the rail, but the political legacy of those who dared to dream big. The nation watches, the continent observes, and the world waits. Nigeria is on a path that could either elevate it to new heights or remind all of us that ambition, however vast, must be matched by capable, honest, and courageous leadership. Even the boldest vision is not without obstacles. Nigeria's $60 billion high-speed rail faces challenges that are as political as they are technical. Security concerns loom over certain regions where the rail will pass. Who will guarantee the safety of passengers and freight in areas vulnerable to unrest or criminal activity? Can the government ensure that this transformative project does not become a target, undermining not only the infrastructure, but the confidence of an entire nation? The eyes of millions are upon this project, and any misstep could inflame tensions, eroding trust in institutions already viewed with skepticism. Land acquisition presents another deeply political hurdle. Communities along the proposed routes may resist giving up property held for generations. How will leaders balance the need for national progress with respect for local ownership and tradition? Will compensation be fair, transparent, and timely, or will it spark resentment, protests, and legal battles? The rail is not merely steel on tracks, it is a test of governance, negotiation, and ethical leadership. History in Nigeria has shown that infrastructure projects can falter when local voices are ignored. Can this administration rise above past mistakes, or will old patterns repeat themselves? Then there is the challenge of energy. Powering trains at 300 kilometers per h requires consistent, reliable energy. And while natural gas offers a solution, the infrastructure must be developed alongside the rail. Will pipelines, gas plants, and energy logistics be completed in time? Can Nigeria overcome bureaucratic delays that have stalled even smaller projects in the past? The rail's promise hinges on a delicate synchronization of construction, fuel supply, and operational readiness. Any misalignment could transform this symbol of ambition into a cautionary tale. Governance and transparency remain in sharp focus. Nigeria has faced repeated warnings about procurement irregularities, cost overruns, and mismanagement. A project of this magnitude, $60 billion, is a prime target for corruption. How can leadership ensure contracts are honored, budgets respected, and timelines met? Will civil society, media, and political opposition be allowed to hold authorities accountable? Or will scrutiny be suppressed in the name of progress? This tension between oversight and execution is at the heart of the rail's political significance. Every misstep will carry emotional weight for citizens who have endured decades of unfulfilled promises. Despite these challenges, the potential rewards are extraordinary. Economically, the high-speed rail promises faster movement of people and goods, lowering costs and expanding markets. Ports in Lagos and Port Harcourt will connect more efficiently with inland cities, enabling Nigerian products to compete globally. Jobs will be created at every stage, from engineers and construction workers to train operators and maintenance crews. For a nation grappling with high unemployment, this is more than infrastructure. It is hope in motion. But will the benefits reach all Nigerians? Or will they be concentrated among urban elites, leaving rural populations to watch progress pass them by? The political implications are profound. Inclusive development is essential for legitimacy, unity, and public trust. The social impact is equally compelling. Citizens will reclaim time previously lost to long, arduous journeys. Families separated by distance will reunite more easily. Students, workers, and entrepreneurs will find access to opportunities that were once inaccessible. Every kilometer of track built is a tangible reminder that Nigeria can act decisively, that dreams can translate into daily reality. Yet one must ask, will the government communicate these gains transparently? Will ordinary Nigerians feel ownership over this project? Or will it be framed as a top-down initiative catering to political and corporate elites? The emotional and political stakes are intertwined. Beyond national borders, the project has the potential to elevate Nigeria's position on the African continent. Morocco and Egypt have already made strides with high-speed rail, and Nigeria seeks not only to compete, but to lead. How will this ambitious vision shape regional perception? Can Nigeria set a standard for African infrastructure excellence, demonstrating that large-scale, transformative projects are possible even in nations often criticized for inefficiency? Or will delays, mismanagement, or disputes diminish Nigeria's influence and embolden skeptics? This is not just about trains. It is about prestige, power, and continental leadership. Sustainability is another layer of political and ethical importance. Trains powered by gas produce less pollution than road vehicles or airplanes, aligning with global trends toward cleaner transport. But will environmental standards be enforced, or will expedience and cost-cutting override ecological responsibility? For older generations, who have witnessed decades of industrial growth without regard for environmental impact, this is a poignant question. Can Nigeria combine rapid development with sustainable planning, demonstrating that progress need not come at the expense of the planet? The project also holds a symbolic role in nation building. Nigeria is a diverse, populous country, often divided along ethnic, religious, and regional lines. The high-speed rail physically connects distant regions, creating a shared experience of mobility, opportunity, and access. But symbols are fragile. Will the rail unite citizens, or will uneven benefits exacerbate existing inequalities? Will this infrastructure be a source of national pride or a reminder of who is left behind? The political narrative will be crafted not only by what is built, but by how benefits are distributed and perceived. As groundbreaking nears, the stakes crystallize. Political leaders like President Bolola Tinubu, Transport Minister Sidu Alkali, and State Minister for Petroleum Resources Epirik Pipo see the project as a cornerstone of broader economic reform. Yet they cannot ignore the scrutiny of citizens who have grown skeptical over decades of unfulfilled promises. Every milestone achieved will be celebrated, yes, but every delay, dispute, or misstep will be magnified in public discourse. How will leaders navigate this high-pressure environment? Can they turn vision into reality without alienating the very people they seek to serve? Ultimately, Nigeria's $60 billion bullet train is more than infrastructure. It is a test of leadership, a measure of governance, and a gauge of national ambition. It asks difficult questions. Can Nigeria manage a project of unprecedented scale with integrity and efficiency? Can it leverage natural resources to fuel progress while ensuring inclusivity? Can political, social, and economic challenges be navigated simultaneously to deliver tangible benefits to millions? And perhaps most profoundly, will Nigerians, after decades of waiting, finally experience a transformation that validates their hopes and fuels their pride? This is the journey of a nation on the edge of history. Every decision, every kilometer of track, every train that departs will carry the weight of expectation. Success could redefine Nigeria's trajectory for decades. Failure could reinforce cynicism and distrust. For older generations who have lived through years of false starts and broken promises, the stakes are intensely personal. They remember what it means to wait, to hope, and to be let down. And yet, they also recognize the thrill of possibility, the chance that a single bold project could demonstrate that Nigeria is capable of greatness. The bullet train is, therefore, a symbol of audacity, resilience, and political courage. It challenges leaders to rise above politics as usual, to deliver not for themselves but for the nation. It challenges citizens to engage, to question, and to demand accountability. It challenges the continent to recognize that Africa's largest economy can set a standard for vision, execution, and progress. In the end, the rails that will carry trains at 300 kilometers per h also carry the weight of dreams, expectations, and history itself. Will Nigeria succeed in turning steel and gas into hope and progress? Or will this audacious vision become another cautionary tale in a land of extraordinary potential and frequent disappointment? Only time and leadership and courage and the vigilance of its people will tell. But one truth is undeniable. Nigeria is on the move, and the world is watching.